Welcome to Go Math, lesson 2.4. Today we're talking about simplifying fractions, which is something we've talked about in the previous lesson. We're going to give it another shot, a little in-depth look. So if I'm starting with a fraction that I know I can simplify, something like 3/9, I look and I know that both of those numbers have a common factor. Now make sure that you're using common factor and not multiples, because those can be two different things. So when we're finding a common denominator between two fractions, we want to find multiple. But in this time, we want to find the greatest common factor. And I know that 3 and 9 share the greatest common factor of 3. They're both divisible by 3. Whatever I do in these fractions, whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 3/9 will simplify to 1/3. So I can go up and down vertically simplifying my fractions. But what if I had something along the lines of 2/7 and I'm multiplying that by, I don't know, 3/4. 2/7 times 3/4. I can't simplify 2 or 7, and I can't simplify 3 and 4 because they don't share any common factors. It's just 1, right? And I can't go this way because 2 and 3 I'm multiplying, I'm not simplifying those. So the one other option that I have is I can look diagonally. Looking diagonally, 3 and 7 don't share any factors, but 2 and 4 do. And I can do this because this is essentially 2 times 3 over 7 times 4. What I realize is right here, I'm multiplying by 2, which I'm going to have to divide out of both of them to simplify at the end. So I can simplify before I multiply. Just clean that up and erase that a little bit. So I know that 2 divided by 2 is 1, and I know that 4 divided by 2 is 2. So as I move now that I've simplified, I can't simplify anywhere else. 1 times 3 is 3. 7 times 2 will give me 14. And I know that 2/7 times 3/4 gives me 3/14. And that makes sense to me. So what would this look like if we were looking in your book? Well, the first example that they're going to give us in your book is this way. 2/5 times 7/10. So we have two options here again. We can say 2/5 times 7/10. I can multiply straight across because I'm multiplying fractions, right? That was our last lesson. Multiplying fractions, 2 times 7 is 14, and 5 times 10 is 50. Now, what do I know about 14/50ths? I know that they're both even numbers. So I could divide by 2. And I get 7/25, and 25 and 7 don't have any common factors, so I know that that's the simplest form, 7/25. I can multiply, then simplify. Or I could choose, we'll do the exact same problem, just a little lower, 2/5 times 7/10. Instead of multiplying and then simplifying, here I'm dividing by 2. You see that right there? So instead, I can look and see that I can't have any common factors between 5 and 7, but I do between 10 and 2. And what is the greatest common factor between 2 and 10 is 2. When I divide 2 by 2, I get 1. When I divide 10 by 2, I get 5. Now that I've simplified, I don't have to take large numbers and look for factors. I just multiply straight across, and 1 times 7 is 7, 5 times 5 is 25, and you'll see that I do, in fact, still get the same answer. So it doesn't matter if I'm going to simplify then multiply, or multiply then simplify, but anytime that I have a fraction, I should be giving my answer in simplest form.